Hello here and welcome to another edition of the HuskerOnline Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. We're back here after the great post-game sparring session that we had. If you didn't tune in, we had quite the spirited debate where I think Steve Sipple feels like he got the victory over Robin Washett and I.
The people feel that way. It doesn't matter what I feel. It was not. I thought it was civil.
Yeah, it was fine. You took a firm stance, and a lot of people, I think, appreciated that.
Can't we? Yeah, we can go at it, can't we?
Of course,
it's gonna be no
these
fun
shows
if
are
we
for.
can't.
If we all had the same opinion, it'd be boring.
Oh my God. I really agree with you, Robin.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off what Steve said.
Going back to the bad big red wrap-up guest, or much one like the guy that doesn't, just gets totally taken over by the other guest, and you're just kind of like the secondary guy. You're like, God, everything he said so good. I disagree with everything he said, but we didn't agree.
Piggyback.
But I will say, to give Steve Sipple a nice pat on the back.
Wow, sure.
The head coach Matt Rhule. I mean, a lot of the things that Sip was angry about post-game, what he wrote about, which got tons of views here on HuskerOnline and his post-game column. Matt Rhule thought his team did not show up for the fight. And I think that's the most disappointing thing about that game. When you go back and look at how Nebraska lost that game, they no one's saying they should have beat Michigan, but they didn't show up. And that's the challenge now this week, going out to Illinois on a shortened week.
Yeah, now he said a lot about that subject today. In one breath, he said it wasn't that they didn't play with fire. In another breath, he said we didn't attack. There's a mindset. They didn't have an attacking mindset. And that's what I tried to say afterwards. And I thought his key quote was this. This is straight from Rhule Monday. We have some really good players who are going to play in the NFL. They didn't show up against Michigan. They didn't show up. He said, that's not calling anybody out. That's me giving them confidence, like we/they can do it. There's a big difference. He said, we have guys on our team who can wreck a game. I want to see them wreck a game. Michigan had some guys, and he said also that Michigan has those players, and they wrecked the game. I mean, they have NFL guys, and those guys showed up. He wants his guys to show. He wants his NFL guys to show up. So that's all. That is really what I was trying to impart. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to, but I thought it from the start. I mean, I thought when Michigan was picking up those 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts easily, that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen on your home field. He said that too. He said, hey, I don't want guys who accept getting beat 45-7 on their home field in front of their mom and dads. That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah, I think he was towing the line between not wanting to say that his team didn't come with fire and thinking that they could win, but also admitting that guys, when it came down to it, were almost too scared to make mistakes.
Right.
Like they were too worried about doing the wrong thing as opposed to going out there and attacking and doing the right thing.
Right.
And just kind of inherently playing football. And so that goes back to this whole conversation we've been having seemingly for 10 years now about Nebraska the players believing they can win and playing like they believe that they can win and not having this thing when the first thing goes wrong. Like he pointed that 4th down and 1 when Harburg was stuffed at the line of scrimmage. That kind of set the whole tone for the rest of the game.
It did.
Everybody was stood up. They were like reacting to Michigan as opposed to pushing forward the 6 inches or whatever,
to knock anybody
half
down
a yard to a yard to get a critical first down and potentially change the momentum of the game.
Think about it. One thing, Sean, one more thing. Think about it. I mean, when they lost to Minnesota, I wasn't critical. You weren't
critical. Because they fought.
They flew around and fought.
Colorado too, outside of that last quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they did, though. They came to play those games.
Learning how to win, though, is the skill that's been lost here. They haven't had a 3-game win streak since 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all your veteran guys have lost a lot of games.
So
for a long time.
Just the discipline and the mentality it takes to win when you're supposed to win and to win when you're not supposed to win.
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska, and there's a pressure on guys at Nebraska because there is a bigger microscope. There are teams that lose like this. They're like the Chicago Cubs. I mean, the microscope on Nebraska football, is huge for a team that hasn't really won much.
Right.
And the fans still show up. That's why I use the Cubs as the example. The fans still go to Wrigley. they still have lots of coverage, even though maybe the Cubs haven't won at a level in a while. And that's how Nebraska football is. I mean, and they've got to figure out how to win. I mean, they've got this great thing with the facilities, the stadium, the support. And I think the players feel the pressure to live up to it, but sometimes it feels like that pressure backfires at times.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one good example would be Northwestern getting clubbed by Penn State. I can use it as an example in two ways. They get beat by Penn State 41-13. They don't have, the head coach there doesn't have 35 reporters show up on Monday to keep asking questions about it after they did on Saturday too. And then on the other hand, you can use Northwestern as an example that did show up and throw the first punch at Penn State. Now they lost 41-13, but they were up 7-zip. It was 10-10 at half, and their coach was pumping his fist on the sideline. They showed up. They showed up to play. But you're right, Sean. Now Rhule's really good today, by the way, and he pointed out kind of what you pointed out. We have all these facilities. We put all this energy into it. We want our guys to play commensurate. To play at a level that's commensurate with that energy. That's what you're looking for.
And if that pressure is too much, don't come to Nebraska. Don't come to a school like Nebraska. I mean, seriously, absolutely. You want all these amenities and all this celebrity that comes with being a Nebraska football player. Well, that's part of the territory where you're going to have that microscope.
Absolutely.
And you want guys that embrace that thrive under that spotlight. And, I think that's kind of why Rhule was calling out his NFL guys or guys with NFL aspirations. You think it's hard now.
Oh,
wait till you get to the league, and all of a sudden your job's on the line each and every week.
Right.
Literally.
100%.
Couple things to get in open headlines here, personnel-wise. No Luke Reimer this week. Left the team hotel Saturday last week with some sort of infection. So they've already ruled him out. He will not be on the travel roster this week. Deshaun Singleton, knee injury. It's not a season-ending knee injury, but it's going to be a several-week injury. There's 7 weeks left in the year. For Nebraska, 7 games over 8 weeks. So the question now at Singleton is when is realistic? Could he even get himself back for, now the Marquise Buford discussion gets interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I know they want to keep him at 4, but once we get to game 9, and this is game 6, does Buford kind of put himself back out there?
Rhule was not asked about Buford today.
No, because he's already said the goal is to get him out there for the Final Four, but does this change that discussion? I don't know,
but they were a little bit in scramble mode on Saturday. I mean, they had to play Tommy Hill at corner the whole game pretty much after Singleton went out, or much of it. And they moved Newsome to safety.
Lyman played his most. Robin had a great stat on Tamon Lyman.
Tamon Lyman played 45 snaps leading up to that game. In his entire career, he played 41. So he surpassed his career snaps in one game out of necessity. And then Kobe Brett's, same deal. I mean, he'd play just mop-up duty end of the game, and he ended up playing over 30 snaps.
Brett's at safety, line him at corner.
Right.
I cheer for guys like Lynham because he's been in the shadows, but I think he's pretty good. I mean, I think he's just a guy that's kind of, he was held back a little bit by injury, but I've always liked him. And I kind of wondered, he stuck in there, and now it's paying off.
Well, that COVID year hurt guys like him when players came back for 6 years.
Right.
I mean,
right. They did hurt guys like that.
Deontay Williams and Dismuke. I mean, they had 10 years here, longer than some coaches had. I mean, several coaches.
Yeah, they were old guys. I mean, they were literally family guys. I mean,
they had kids.
Yeah, they had kids.
Dads.
Yeah.
The reliability they brought, took
great
away opportunities, but lots to get into here as Nebraska prepares to go see our good old friend Brett Bielema and his Illinois team that's struggling. We're going to get into that matchup next. More here. You're listening to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Robin Washett, Steve Sipple. Before we get into offensive storylines here heading out to Illinois, this segment brought to you by our proud sponsor, Caldera Lab. It's a great regimen to take care of your face. Taking care of your face is one of the most important things. You brush your teeth every day. Daily skin care maintenance makes all the difference, helping you look younger. You don't want to go back to that 20 or 30-year reunion, Sipple, looking like an old man, do you?
Here we go. I mean, and yes, I brush my teeth every day, Sean.
You want to go back to that? You want to go back to that reunion and be like, God, Sip looks better now than he did 10 years ago.
This is going too far.
Does he age?
He must be using that Caldera Lab stuff. They've been advertising on the Husker Online show, but 94% of men have shown to look overall younger. I've been using it now for a few months. Great product. Almost can't really go without it in the morning. I feel like your faces feels refreshed, ready to roll. We got a great special for our Husker Online users. Visit calderalab.com to receive a 20% off code by using promo code Husker. Calderalab.com, promo code Husker to receive 20% off. Caldera Lab, great product. We use it here on the Husker Online show. Robin's getting hooked up with it, by the way, here soon. And we'll get Robin's take on it.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll end up looking like Benjamin Button here in a little bit.
Who?
The movie, the guy that reverse ages.
Okay. Sean's looking like Brad Pitt.
No. Minus the hair. All right. Well, let's get into the offensive storylines for the week. Let's get right into the quarterback discussion because it just has the feel. Now, they're not going to say who's going to start, but Heinrich Haarberg, I think, just if you're just like the outside looking, they'll go with Haarberg again, but not so fast, my friend. I think the ball is rolling a little bit more to get a look at Jeff Sims this week, especially if he's back up to full speed. And Matt Rhule said he practiced really well on Sunday.
Yeah, you might be right there. It would, man, but wouldn't it surprise you if on Friday night he would started the game? Wouldn't it throw you for a loop?
The thing that I look to is the schedule part of it. I mean, if you're going to go back to him, give him a bye week, to prepare to be the starter and just kind of get that page turned back. If you're going to make that type of decision, as opposed to do it on the fly on a short week, I think you stick with Haarberg again, and Sims will be ready if he's needed, because this is going to be Haarberg's first road game. I mean, the first time he's actually experienced road hostility and the same type of, well, not the same type, but a similar experience to what Sims had his first two starts. So if nothing else, you're leveling the playing field as far as that competition is concerned, where you can evaluate how Haarberg responds to the road atmosphere. And then also it gives you the opportunity to, if you do make that change back to Sims, you have a whole 2 weeks to prepare and get the offense suited accordingly.
Yeah, I just don't know. The longer you go with Haarberg, the harder it's going to be to even think about going back to Sims.
Absolutely.
So that's because if you're in your heart of hearts think Sims can still maybe do more, but at the same time, Haarberg's getting better every time he plays.
Yeah, he wasn't the problem on Saturday.
He graded out fair on Pro Football Focus. I like the little slant game he got going. I mean, because Jeff Sims wasn't doing that in his start. So there's some things that he's getting better at that I think have complicated this discussion. I think they're equally good runners.
I do too. I don't think it's complicated though. I think that Haarberg has shown in 3 games that you stick with him. I don't know why you'd mess with it at this point.
Mm-hmm. It could just be a deal too, where they want to keep that competition going to where, they just keep the intensity level in the room. Those guys don't get comfortable. And so internally, Haarberg might be the clear-cut guy, but publicly they're going to say, it's still open. We're going to let these guys keep battling it out.
Yeah, I get that. Now the thing that would change a mind, like my mind, is if in practice it begins to swing Sims's way noticeably. But if it's pretty even in practice, which is the way Rhule portrays it, why mess with it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why mess with it?
Yeah, especially, he was throwing it around well. Now, Michigan took away a lot of the run stuff. Haarberg had very limited runs, very limited scrambles, and that's going to be what you see a lot of the Big Ten. I mean, the defensive end play, the edge play is going to be much more elite than Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech.
Oh, God, yes. And you saw it against Michigan. I don't know. I mean, we're doing this on Monday. I haven't fully digested Illinois yet. I don't know what they have on the ends. I imagine their defensive line's all right, although their defensive numbers are horrible. I mean, they're in the hundreds in most of the key defensive categories. I don't know what again, it's Monday. I can't explain the drop off.
Well, they lost their D coordinator.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan Walters.
Yeah, now a head coach.
Right.
And they lost a bunch of NFL draft picks.
3 guys in the secondary are drafted last year.
I still think that their defensive line is good. The problem is that teams are just able to throw all over them right now. So they've been limited with what they can do to impact a game.
Okay, a couple things I want to hit on here. Running back. Do you think we see Josh Fleeks at least get a few more reps, or is it going to be a heavy dose of Anthony Grant with very light bites of the other guys?
That's what I think it should be. I think it should be heavy dose of Anthony Grant. That's a good way to put it, light bites. Get him in there. Get those other guys in there. Now, will it be Fleeks or Quentin Ives? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe Fleeks earned some time with that run. Again, you just want to know how much of the playbook does he understand, Fleeks? Does he understand pass
as well
protection?
as anybody, right?
Well, he's running. I mean, he changed positions. That's the thing. I mean, was he learning? Was he studying the running back stuff at receiver? I can't answer that. How is he in pass protection? I don't know. I just think it's heavy dose of Grant. That's what I think. It's got to be.
Yeah, and he didn't play Grant. When did he come out of the game? In the third quarter?
Early. At the 11-minute mark of the third quarter, pretty much.
Yeah, so you got to wonder, there's no sign of any sort of injury thing. So you just wonder if they were like, hey, we need you for the long haul. We're not going to get you beat up in a 38-point loss. But the question is, with Fleeks and then Emmett Johnson, I think Ives is a distant fourth.
Must be
right now. Rhule said as much today. He said he's still got a long ways to go. We're just learning
the talent is there.
Yeah, they love him physically, but he's just got to get caught up. Like they weren't planning on playing him this year. He was going to redshirt.
Think about throwing Ives against Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Your first game.
Then you're risking totally setting a guy back.
Total. Yeah.
So it's going to come down to Fleeks and Johnson. And I think both of them showed some flashes, but I think they like a lot of what Fleeks does. Just not only with his speed, as he showed on that one run, but just that veteran presence back
24.
There. They really need that.
Turner Corcoran will be back at left tackle. He was out briefly. We got to see Prohaska. All three tackles struggled against Michigan. The tackles allowed 8 pressures on 30 pass dropbacks. And not every dropback's a long hold the ball dropback. So that's got to get better. But Corcoran will be back in there. And, Prohaska struggled too when he was in there. I mean, it wasn't, I think there's this, I just think the notion was, Prohaska will just solve the world. No one's doing that. And I think it's really to the point now at tackle, run something that complements what you have. You can't try, and Rhule said that as much. They can't drop back 30, 40 times and expect to win. Their tackle play is not good enough.
No.
I mean, they've got to figure out a way to win with what they have on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Problem is when you can't run, especially you can't have the QB run the way they didn't have against Michigan. That really limits you with what you can do offensively. Because right now their passing game is still pretty much non-existent. Harbert threw for a career high 199 yards. That's what you're talking about.
God bless this schedule.
Yeah, 7 weeks in a row without a ranked opponent. Did the research. There's never been a time in the history of the Big Ten Nebraska's played 7 weeks in a row without a ranked team. Wow.
Seriously.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's pretty hard to do.
That's true.
Think about like how crossovers get moved around.
Right. Yeah.
Think about, the league schedule used to only be 8 games. Right. Now it's 9.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So in 2012, the last time they won the West, they played 6 weeks in a row to close it out against no ranked opponents, and they won them all.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
They lost to Ohio State that year.
Okay.
But then they played a ranked team that would have been if it was Michigan. Michigan was ranked 20th.
Okay.
But 2012, they went 6 weeks in a row. They've never gone 7 weeks in a row. Now, Maryland or Wisconsin could be ranked.
Yeah.
But Maryland's going to take some hits here soon.
I would think so. God, that's amazing. So enjoy. I guess enjoy it. I mean, there's a part of me that says, why enjoy that? You want to play great teams, but
you saw what happened when they played a great team.
Well, I know exactly. I mean, just thank your lucky stars. It's not Ohio State or Penn State as your other crossover.
Well, in the previous staff, I think they even knew if they were like, this was the schedule right here. This was the opportunity if they could get to this point. And even last year's schedule was manageable.
I keep saying it, and Sean keeps saying it. It'll never, ever again be this easy. It will in our lifetime.
7 weeks in a row without a ranked team.
It'll never be this easy again. Never.
Because Wisconsin's down. Iowa's quarterback's out for the year. We'll hit on all that next, but let's talk defensive storylines in our next segment. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. Before we get into some defensive storylines, the show and segment brought to you by CHI Health Clinics. We're proud to be partnered with CHI Health here all throughout the football season. They're sponsoring all of our shows. And one of the things I wanted to tell you about was CHI Health's walk-in urgent care clinics. They have 3 right now in Lincoln, one on 40th Street, right between Normal and Van Dorn, their newest location, right on 40th and Yankee Hill Road, and then 84th and Holdridge area as well. And the great thing about these, and they have 16 total in Omaha, Council Bluffs, Lincoln, Grand Island, and Kearney. They're open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You don't need an appointment. You just walk in. I have had to use it multiple times. And, especially on a weekend, you want to get seen by a doctor. You want to get a prescription so you can attack the week before Monday. They have bailed me out, my family out a few times where you get that sinus infection or something comes up. My daughter cut herself one day. We had to go in and get it taken care of. We went on a Sunday night at 7:30. We were out of there within 30 minutes, home, ready to start Monday. So great things. CHI Health, check them out at any one of their urgent care locations where they have a lot of resources and things they offer. For a complete list, go to chihealth.com/priority care to check out all of their priority care / urgent care clinics. Thanks again to CHI Health for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. All right, guys, let's talk defensive storylines for Nebraska this week. And no Deshaun Singleton, no Luke Reimer, and Cam Lenhart. We haven't seen him play in weeks. So lot of things up in the air as they get ready to load the plane for the first time since their game out at Colorado.
Yeah, a lot of things up in the air, including their confidence. I mean, I shouldn't assume that, but you would think maybe the confidence took a little bit of hit against Michigan. I mean, those conversations can get kind of complicated, but not having Reimer, not having Singleton, as Rhule mentioned, is very significant. So you just got to see it. We mentioned it. We mentioned the defensive backfield. We should also mention the linebacker crew. It puts a lot of heat on Bullock, John, on Javin Wright, and Nick Henrich. Those are the guys now. I mean, and they have to be.
Well, Bayer's an inside linebacker now too.
That's right. Thank you.
They moved him from Jack.
Yeah. They moved him from Mekhi Bayer.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? They have the guys. Those are all pretty good players. They're not Reimer necessarily, but I don't think the drop off is that steep. They happen to have some depth there. Probably the Singleton injury is a little. I mean, they don't have. I mean, the way Rhule talked about it today is it doesn't seem like they have another Singleton.
No,
that was a big.
They don't.
They were using him in a way that they don't have another guy that they can use that way. So that was
he
big.
played like a linebacker safety-ish role. I mean,
Right.
he was not your typical DB body.
Yeah, and no knock on Phelan Sanford, but he's your starter now, and there's a significant just size difference.
Yeah, he's not as big
right there, and
so
so you got
to come down and pop.
He has to do different things than what they were able to do with Singleton, and that was a big impact on their run defense.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of their best in the box safeties, and not having him out there, it was notable for sure.
Yeah. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show as we talk defensive storylines. Illinois' offense, guys, great matchup for Nebraska. They struggled, 1 or 2 third down conversions last week? That was it?
2 for 13. Illinois against Purdue was 2 for 13 on third down.
I mean, this has a chance to be a kind of an ugly game if both offenses can't convert third downs.
Well, it's the West. I mean, it's the Big Ten West, so it has a good chance to be really ugly.
Odds are.
Has really almost a surefire bet to be ugly.
I mean, it is like in the final year of the West. It just hurts to see it look this bad. Because I mean, it was a competitive division. I mean, Wisconsin. I mean, there's some good teams, but Iowa's quarterback's out for the year. Minnesota is kind of a mess right now.
Well, I'd say shaky.
They're not.
I wouldn't say mess,
but they play Ohio State and Michigan.
Mm-hmm. They got a schedule.
They got.
Hey! Minnesota plays Michigan this weekend. Now we'll see what that looks like.
Like who wins the West right now? Seriously,
I'd say. Open. Don't we just got to say Wisconsin right now? Haven't they looked the best out of
their running backs out?
Iowa's looked best, but now they just lost their starting quarterback. Right. So their offense was already limited. Now what's that picture going to look like?
They returned a punt and scored a defensive touchdown.
They won like Iowa.
The student section, were they really chanting like fire Brian Ferentz?
That's what reporters were tweeting.
They're 4-1. I mean, they keep winning though. Like it's just amazing. I mean, I get it.
They're 4-1.
They have a style they play.
Yeah.
It's not conducive to offense.
No. Well, it could be. I mean, they just don't have the players.
I mean, they drilled Kentucky in a bowl game.
They did. Yeah, so maybe you're right. Maybe Iowa. Maybe it's just Iowa, Wisconsin.
I think across the board talent, Iowa's the favorite. Okay. But that quarterback situation, that shakes things up.
Every week Michigan State loses, and that's the East team, but Nebraska goes up there. I mean, that game gets more and more favorable. You just wonder what Michigan State's going to look like by the time Nebraska goes up there in November.
That's going to be a weird game too, because that's going to be their senior day. That's their last home game because they gave up that home game to play in Detroit, right? So like,
boy, that comes off
November 4th, senior day.
Penn State, Michigan State in the silver. Do they call it the Silver Dome still?
No,
No,
it's something else.
It's Ford Field.
Ford
Yeah,
Field.
Ford
Okay,
Field.
Silver
Yeah.
Dome.
Silver Dome.
I think they demoed
I think
this.
that's a long way.
Silver Dome.
I don't know.
Silver Dome.
The Metrodome.
So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how the West is going to shake out. Now, Michigan State, by the way, just to defend them a little bit, they did push Iowa in that game. I mean, they showed up and they were ahead late in the third quarter.
What's the resolve going to be, though?
Right?
Their collective announced they're stopping paying players.
Yeah.
30 to 35 players under contracts done.
They just stopped.
So
paying.
imagine last year, if Frost gets fired, ABM was running the collective back then. They just said, we're not paying Trey Palmer and Casey Thompson and all these guys. And they just,
Good luck with that.
That would have been a disaster. In a place like Nebraska, where there's way more underground message board dudes and things happening, something like that would have been crazy.
Oh,
I mean, those guys would have feasted on that type of
discomfort.
material.
Discomfort. Yeah, that would have been extreme discomfort for everybody.
So with that conversation about Nebraska's place in the West Division, I thought it was notable when Rhule was talking today on Monday about how he's really is further emphasizing that idea that Nebraska is a defensive team. And they need their defense to play like it.
Yes.
And so for Nebraska to have a chance at taking advantage of this wide open opportunity that is their division, it's going to have to be led by their defense. And coming off that game Saturday, how they respond against a mediocre Illinois offense, I think is going to be really telling. Because if they come out and play like they did against Minnesota, they're going to have every chance in the world to win that game. Then you win that game, all of a sudden, you got some momentum
Doors
going
are
in your
open.
bye
Yeah,
week.
I love the way Rhule define. He's very clear about defining his team. Now you don't take that for granted because we've covered coaches who didn't do that. We didn't know what the hell they were on offense. Rhule today was sort of asked if the identity's forming. I don't know exactly what the question was, but he said we have an identity on offense.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's nice to hear a coach say that. Whereas Bo Pelini one day, I don't know what year it was, but I pulled him aside. I thought I'd get a little scoop and say, just can you just kind of lay out your offensive identity? They were struggling. And he just looked me dead in the eye and goes, we're multiple. I was like,
Take what the
thanks.
defense
Thanks.
gives us.
I'll go my way now without a story. But the Rhule today, what did he say? No, we know what we are. We want to run the ball. We want to pound it at you. We want to run some option. We want to run play action.
Yep.
There you go. There's your identity.
He said, don't confuse a lack of success like Saturday as a lack of identity.
Right.
Like they know what they are. Now it's a matter of executing that identity at a higher level.
Pound the ball, play action, mix in some option. Lean on your defense.
Body blows.
Yeah, body blows.
All right. When we come back, Abby Barmore will join the discussion after her busy weekend of juggling football, volleyball. She's got another busy weekend, by the way, at the big wedding.
Oh boy.
We'll hear all about that next. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut, Abby Barmore. Before we get into the mailbag, this segment of the show brought to you by Bauer Underground. They're helping shape Nebraska's infrastructure future, and they're looking for new members to join the team with open positions for laborers, equipment operators, aerial linemen, and foremen. Bauer Underground is searching for the best in construction. Visit Bauer Underground to learn more about career opportunities and industry-leading benefits, including competitive pay, employer-paid health insurance, dental, disability, vision, life insurance, 401k match, new top-of-the-line equipment, and a clothing allowance. No experience in underground utility construction? No problem. Bauer will train the right people in the field, giving you the hands-on experience that you'll need to build a long and rewarding career. Want to learn more? Visit Bauer Underground on Facebook to view the testimonials from current Bauer teammates, hear about their experiences, the company culture, and the importance of their work. Bauer Underground is family-owned. With crews around the state of Nebraska, wherever you live, Bauer has an opportunity for you. For more information, like Bauer Underground on Facebook or visit BauerUnderground.com. Come start your new career today. Thank you again to Bauer Underground for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Abby, what is the first question here in the mailbag?
Well, first of all, I have to clear up that I'm not getting married. I'm just in a wedding.
Many rumors
we didn't
flying
get
around
invited to your wedding, Abby. That's awesome. And
It's It's just one
She
of my
planned her
best
we-
friends from high
She
school.
planned her wedding on a Husker road game to
Yeah,
make
of
sure you're
course.
out of town.
Well, and then I didn't have to work too. So
Thanks
it
for
worked out.
clarifying that. That needed clarification.
Well,
Okay.
we better hear some wild, crazy Abby Barmore stories.
Mhm.
I don't know about that, but okay. Our first question. Are we ready?
Yes.
How many more games do you think Nebraska will realistically win this season?
Well, they got 7 guys.
Checking.
Is there 4 in there? I mean, that's the question. I really think they can get 4. I
too.
believe that. And I think this weekend, though, is the key.
Yeah.
Like, how does Friday look?
Yeah.
If they go out and win and it's basically a pick 'em game, 4-point, 3-point Illinois line. It's basically a line that we don't know what the hell is going to happen with either one of these 2 teams.
Mhm.
Whoever decides to want to really turn their season around is going to win this game.
Yeah, that's a good analysis.
And if they could win that game, look at the next 3. I mean, look at these next 3.
Northwestern.
Now, Purdue's getting tougher by the day. Now, the Purdue-Iowa game this weekend will be interesting.
Northwestern is next. Yeah. Northwestern's not playing badly, but they just lost Ben Bryant, their quarterback. I don't know for how long, but he went down against Penn State. If he's not available, then you should be a 6 to 7 point favorite. Purdue, tough, but not, unwieldy.
It's in Lincoln.
At Michigan State, Sean, if you win, it's going to be close. Maryland is playing really well.
Yeah, that's one's tough.
At Wisconsin and then Iowa. Yeah, you can definitely find 4, but Sean is 100% right. If you lose this game, come on. I mean,
Can
that
the
gets
team
really
withstand 2 straight weeks of fan blows? Because it'll be 2 weeks between games after the Illinois game.
tough. Maybe not fan blows if they play okay.
But if they play like a Minnesota effort, but again,
Yeah.
I don't think this is not a great Illinois team.
No.
It's not a great Minnesota team, though.
It's not a great Nebraska team.
But
So,
the reality is Nebraska has proven that when they play, they have a ceiling that these next 4 games are all winnable, in my opinion. As long as they don't turn the ball over and they play defense the way that they're capable of, they can have a chance to win every single one of them and probably should win every single one of them.
Okay, next question. In recent years, Nebraska has consistently made top 5 lists for big recruits. Is winning the only thing that is stopping them from getting commitments from the top talent?
Oh, it's a little bit of everything, but yeah, I think everyone is so quick to point out NIL, like, oh, we got to get our NIL together. No, the market is the market, and Nebraska can offer competitively what it's going to take to get guys. But when there's 3 or 4 other top programs doing the same type of offer, it is tough. Yeah, I think Brandon Baker was highly interested in Nebraska. Dylan Raiola was interested in Nebraska, but the state of the program and where it's at today, I think makes it tough for those guys to turn down Texas and Georgia and schools like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. It's winning.
No doubt.
I mean, and I get reminded sometimes. I mean, this bowl drought is getting scary, right? I mean,
Because it could go on.
It's getting scary long. I mean, it's winning. That's
Talk
what
about
it is.
can they find 4 wins to prevent a 7-year bowl drought?
Oh God.
Think
I mean,
about that.
Sean, come on. How many teams have gone 7 years without a bowl? Is it down to
No
one?
Power 5s.
Great. That's one.
I mean, you're going
That's what I'm
pre-Devaney.
talking
I mean, pre-Devaney, before Devaney got here, they only played in 2 bowl games in history: a Rose Bowl and then an Orange Bowl, and that's it. And then Devaney obviously got them rolling to a bowl almost every year. Then Osborne was every year, and so to be at that point again, you're right. I mean, you're talking about a place where Nebraska hasn't been since like the 50s.
Right. So there you go, Rabbi. Keep going.
Next question.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the O-line protection, and who do you think has improved the most since the season started?
I mean, Ben Hart, I think he had a rough game last week, but I think he's improved. And a lot of it, again, is if they could run the ball, those guys become better pass blockers because then the threat of the play action's there. When they can't run the ball and they're predictable, the line's going to be what it is. We know what this line is because we've been watching the same line since 2020. I mean, it's the same guys.
Pretty much. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, like Sean said, the pass protection and obvious passing situations has been bad. The run blocking outside of the Michigan game has been pretty good. They were averaging over 200 yards a game going into that.
Right.
I mean, that's hard to knock that.
Right.
And then his biggest improvement is no question Ben Hart. Like he was grading out as one of the worst tackles in college football, and now he's one of the strengths of that unit. So yeah, easy answer there.
Interesting. On Saturday against Michigan, they didn't rotate New Ely out. They
No
kept,
Lutovsky.
they didn't play Lutovsky
He
at all.
struggled.
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, I'd say Ben Hart's the most improved. And you don't want this conversation to be colored too much by the Michigan game because they had played pretty well in the last couple games against, insufficient. I mean, foes that weren't very good.
Next
There you
question.
go. Keep
Okay,
going.
this is one of my favorite questions, but I'm a little biased here. Is Harper Murray Nebraska's best athlete on campus at their respective sport? If not, who's the most athletic?
Good question.
With best athlete or best player?
Athletic.
Just like the highest
Athletic.
profile.
The best
top.
athlete, yeah.
Best
Jordan Ball.
athlete.
Jordan.
I'm kidding. No, but she is highly athletic.
I would say Jordan Ball. You're right. I mean,
Yeah.
I would probably peg her because she's a national champion.
right.
Pitcher.
All-American.
She's the best
Two-time All-American.
pitcher.
You got Olympic gold medalists in track. If we're gonna go that route,
Who is that?
I don't remember their names.
Are we counting like Jim Hartung still?
No.
We're
We're talking about right now.
Current.
We're talking about right now.
Currently.
Yeah. No,
I'm not talking about Merlene Oddie at this point. This is current.
Who's the current gold medal athlete
They did this the outdoor this summer. They had guys win gold.
that are
I don't know. We
still
better
here? Who's that?
They put it out.
I
I
don't-
don't have
It's
it
okay, Rob.
available. I just remember
know
seeing the
what sport.
tweets.
I don't know.
The throwers.
Oh,
They had at least
throw.
2 throwers.
Okay.
Oh, they weren't. I mean, it wasn't an Olympic year.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
International competition.
Okay.
But they weren't NCAA champions, were they?
I don't
No,
know, Sean.
Sean, I don't
I'm
have
gonna-
this
Let's
on the
go with
top of
another
it.
name.
I'm going to go
I'll
with
bring this
Ball.
up later.
Jordan Ball.
Jordan Ball. What do you think, Abby, about
Yeah,
Harper?
how about you?
About Harper
You the
Murray?
best.
I mean,
eval.
I would say Jordy just because she's actually won a national championship too, actually, in her first 2 years of playing college ball. So, I mean, Harper's not at that point yet, and she's very good, but I don't know if she's the best at her position either on the team. I mean, she's really young. So,
Think of the gold medals you have on campus now, though. You have Jim Hartung, Jordan Larson. I mean, there's some pretty accomplished coaches that were Paul Bell Morales. I mean,
Yep.
the swimming coach for the women's team.
Yep.
Was a gold medalist. I mean, there's
Well, and I'd say Lori Sipple was a gold medalist.
no relation.
Yeah, no relation. I think
They
she
had-
was a gold medalist for Canada.
Nebraska had 2 national champion javelin throwers.
Okay. Keep going.
Rima Otabor and Dash Sermon.
You really
They're national champions.
They're national champs.
How many of those are in this
Yeah, no,
university?
you're
Jordan
Jeez.
Ball.
fair.
Okay.
All right.
Fair.
Final question.
We need to talk about
Okay.
facial cream immediately. Go ahead.
okay, our last one. So, you guys have met a lot of athletes and coaches. Has there been anyone that you've been really excited to meet or a little starstruck? And it doesn't have to be a Husker coach or player.
I met Coach Prime,
Oh,
Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders, at the Army All-American Bowl one year because he was he was a guardian. Yeah, he was with Noel Devine,
okay.
and he walked through, and I just
Okay.
I interviewed him, and I was nervous. I mean,
I'll bet.
I
Mhm.
kind of barged. I got an interview for him when I was with Rivals, but then Coach Nick Saban back in 2008 at the Senior Bowl, he was actually going after Sean Watson to be his OC, and Sean Watson turned him down. This was after Saban's first year at Alabama when they didn't go to a bowl game. They struggled.
Okay.
Whoops.
And Watson turned that position down and went to Greg McElway or McElwain or Jim McElwain.
Jim
Sorry,
McElwain.
Jim McElwain.
and instead of Sean Watson. But I reported that, and I remember Bo Pelini calls you and says, "You better tell your boy Callahan, he better have this story right, because if he's wrong on this Watson thing, he's done." And so I was hell bent to prove Bo Pelini wrong.
Because you were starstruck by Bo Pelini.
Well, because he was a bully. And I'll tell the story now. I sat by the Cleveland Browns offensive line coach on the plane to Mobile, who coached with Watson at Colorado.
Mm.
He tells me on the flight, he goes, "Nebraska better pay Sean Watson. That's all I'll tell you." Because he basically said, I talked to him about the Alabama job. So that was my source. I could say it's 15, 20 years later.
You got that off your chest.
And Nick Saban said, "No, I'm not talking." I went at him again, and I got him.
Mhm.
And Saban confirmed that Watson was approached by him and turned it down. So, I was a little nervous.
I got you. Okay, Rob, who's yours?
Uh,
Starstruck.
Going way back in the day to 2005 or 6. Yeah, 2006. I was writing for, I believe I was still with the Daily Nebraskan, and Texas Tech came into
Yeah.
the Vandy Center.
Bob Knight.
With Bob
Oh,
Knight.
Bob Knight.
Bob Knight.
And they pulled out a close win. Jarius Jackson had 41 points in a disappointing win for Nebraska. But I went and covered the Texas the Texas Tech post game, and it was just in their locker room. And
Yeah.
Bob Knight's just kind of sitting there, cross-armed, whatever, and like
I was standing there right
he's
with
an
you.
intimidating presence,
is.
especially like with media. And
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I didn't get like berated. And so
Right.
I threw this like softball question about Jarius Jackson, and he gave me a great answer. He's like really receptive to it, and that was my claim to fame.
That's a
I
good.
did not get yelled at. By
That's
Bob
I
Knight.
forgot about that.
Yeah, those early Tech Bob Knight deals, and you couldn't get close to him. Remember, like the media wanted to kind of get their mics up, and it was the rule. You had to give Bob Knight distance.
He was. I mean, there was only like 4 or 5 of us around him, and
Yeah, I was around him too. No, that was a good one. I would have. I wish. I don't know if I've been terribly starstruck by anybody.
Who was just cool to meet, like somebody.
Cool to meet.
you watched
Leon
as a kid.
Spinks was cool to me because I met him I ate with him at Village Inn.
I'm a coaches.
Um,
not retired boxers.
I mean, I was a little intimidated by Urban Meyer because I respected him so much.
When did you interview
That-
Urban?
At Big Ten Media Days.
Oh, okay.
It was that type of deal. And I was still kind of nervous I don't know why I was nervous to ask him a question, just because of what he'd done, I suppose. That answer doesn't age particularly well now, but I don't know that I've ever been all overly starstruck by anybody. Maybe Switzer a little bit. But not terribly. Not terribly. I'd say Bob Knight would be about as close as I could get.
He called you, right, once?
Yeah.
Can you tell that story?
It's
We were
sort
kind of
of
up against
bragging. I mean, it was typical Bob Knight, but it wasn't. I mean, I don't like to tell it because it was sort of interesting the way it went down. It was back before, if it wasn't before cell phones, it was still when they would call your office number, and I got a call on my office phone, and it was his secretary, and said Bob Knight would like to talk to you, and it was after he had been in town. I wrote a long column about him. I was a huge fan. I was a huge fan of Bob Knight. I mean, he's my favorite coach of all time. And so I was like, oh boy. And then what Knight did was the scary thing. He started the conversation by going, "You think you're a pretty good sports writer, don't you?" And I was like, well, I got a lot to learn, but I'm pretty confident. And he goes, "Well, you wrote a hell of a column about me, and I really appreciate it." Yeah, and we had a nice conversation. But the way he started it, I mean, it was a little scary at first.
That's a great story.
Yeah, not too scary, but yeah, I mean, that's my favorite coach calling me. So that was good.
All right, when we come back,
Sorry about that.
I wish we were in our off-season format where we could go a little longer on
Yeah,
these
no,
things,
no,
but,
no,
when
just
we come back,
cut
we'll
it
talk Big Ten games next. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. Final segment before we get into some Big Ten discussion this weekend and last weekend's games. This segment, Steve Sipple, brought to you by our friends at
Larson Motors. If you are looking for a new vehicle, go for a new experience at Larson Motors in Nebraska City. Yes, Nebraska City. Larson Motors is one of the Midwest's only dealerships with all the major brands in one spot. Finding your new Chevrolet, GMC, Hummer, Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram has never been easier. Start your new experience today at LarsonMotorGroup.com. That's LarsonMotorGroup.com or at Larson Motors in Nebraska City. Larson Motors, real people, real deals.
And when you're on that bye weekend, get down and Sipple. Tell them to get down. Go down to the Applejack Festival and stop at Larson.
Yeah, I don't know when the Applejack Festival is.
It's got to be.
Is it ongoing?
It's a full. I mean, you
Fall.
go down to Nebraska. Nebraska
Fall.
City's like Nebraska.
I need to get down there. I do need to get down there. Just right down Highway 2. I have taken the hog there. It's a little rough trip on a hog, actually. Just the highway situation. But yeah, get down there to Nebraska City and check it out. I need to do that. That's a good bye week.
Bye week
idea.
homework for you.
Yeah, bye week.
All right, let's get into Big Ten games
Quickly.
Northwestern fell, as we mentioned earlier. Penn State won 41-13 in Evanston. Minnesota got more than they could handle, but were able to pull ahead and take out Louisiana 35-24. I think one of the surprises of the weekend was Purdue's dominating win 44-19 over Illinois. How about Maryland? 44-17 winners over Indiana. Tom Allen fired his offensive coordinator after that game. Not a good deal going on there in Bloomington, as the Hoosiers now 2-3. Michigan over Nebraska 45-7. Rutgers played Wagner. They're now 4-1 with a 52-3 win over Wagner. And then Iowa, Caden McNamara now out for the season, but they go to 4-1 with a 26-16 win over Michigan State. Your big takeaway from week 5.
It wasn't a good slate. I mean, there wasn't much there. Northwestern got my attention a little bit, but them losing Ben Bryant to injury. Now you got to watch. I don't know how long he's out, but Ben Bryant, it's a name not a lot of people know, but he'd been good for Northwestern. He's played well. That's one. And of course the Purdue game really gets your attention. Purdue put 17 points on Illinois in the third quarter. Brett Bielema
21.
Thank you, Rob. Brett Bielema said the words, "We unraveled." Not good. So those kind of stand out. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think that Illinois game, I mean, it was a pick 'em. It was the point spread is even. And so for a team to get beat like that, considering it's a year one coach that was on Bielema's staff, I mean, that got my attention.
Advantage, though. I mean, I would say a sizable advantage for Purdue in that game, that Ryan Walters had spent 2 years at Illinois as the defensive coordinator, knew that personnel intimately. I mean, knew it back, inside and out.
It's like when Tom Osborne, now I'm blanking on his name, but when he was when he went to Washington State from his staff, and then Osborne opened the next year with Washington State. John Feynman was on that staff.
So you're talking about Jim Walden?
Jim Walden was the head coach of Washington State. Then he went to Missouri. But Osborne had to open. Like that next year. And Washington State obviously knew the Osborne personnel, and
the old timers are going to kill us. Sean.
How do I not know? I just finished I turned my book in.
The old timers are going to kill us for not getting this name. They're going to kill us, Sean. You better get it.
All right, you guys stall.
The Minnesota game was notable in the sense they were heavy favorites, 9.5, 10. And they were losing at halftime to Louisiana. Like if you're a Nebraska fan watching the game, you're like, what's going on? Now they ended up winning and covering barely 35-24, but that was, kind of one of those concerning games, especially with what was happening to Nebraska in their own right. And then Iowa beating
Warren
Michigan
Powers.
the way that, Warren Powers, the way that they did without their quarterback. That was notable. That shows that, maybe they can still be Iowa even without that quarterback position.
Warren Powers. Rest in peace, by the way, Warren Powers.
And I talked to Jim Walden, who replaced Warren Powers for my book, and Jim Walden is outstanding still. Like when you talk to him, I mean,
he's in his 80s, right?
He is with it.
Yeah, he is with it.
Some of the best stories I got for the book, I mean, he gave me some excellent material.
Well, back in the day, Sean, at the newspaper, if I needed a column, there's times I would just call Walden. I mean, you understand why. He was amazing. He's amazing. He's an amazing interview. He's a good interview.
Yeah. You could tell, like he made a joke because he beat Osborne with Iowa State.
Yes, he did.
It was Osborne's worst loss.
Yeah, it was a nightmare loss.
He said, "I told Tom I messed up his record."
Yeah, I think Iowa State won that day 19-12.
Frazier.
Yeah, it was Tommy Frazier, and Iowa State beat him in Ames. It was a major news story here. I'll tell you that.
All right, Nebraska at Illinois this weekend, Friday, 7:00. Then Saturday, Maryland at Ohio State. That's going to get interesting game on Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Big noon kickoff. Deion Sanders will take a break from big noon kickoff and let the Big Ten have it back. Rutgers at Wisconsin. Another intriguing game.
Oh, that's really intriguing.
Wisconsin's a 2-touchdown favorite.
That's ridiculous.
That's surprising.
Okay, that's ridiculous. It is. Rutgers has a real defense.
They got a quarterback too.
Now,
yeah, they have a quarterback and they have a real defense. I'm on the record as saying that's a ridiculous line.
Northwestern is playing Howard.
Yeah, that's
kept that one off the pick sheet, by the way. I should have put that on there, Sip, just so I give you some wins.
Oh, thanks, Sean.
I'm Purdue Sipple takes that you're gaining some ground.
Yeah. I'm not in last, by the way.
Jim Rose is whooping up right now.
All right, let's not talk
Purdue about over Iowa.
Purdue at Iowa.
Purdue at Iowa. 2.5 points. Now, 2.5 point favorite for Iowa in that game. That's a tough pick right now. And then Michigan at Minnesota, and that line has jumped. It's now 20.5.
Whoa, that's a big line. That's a big edge for a visiting team.
Well, that's an 8-possession game.
Oh my God.
You know, that's the kind of game where both teams won't have probably more than 8 possessions.
20 points. That is big. That seems a little big to me. Now, the other one I don't think you mentioned the line for Ohio State. I think it's 17.5. Is it
19.5?
Yeah,
oh my
I see it as
God, that's
19.
big. That is big. I mean, I'm not a gambler at all. For obvious reasons. But man, I'd be tempted to take Maryland to cover and
Rutgers
to cover. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
God.
Lots to follow.
Those are huge lines.
And we will be live after the game as well. Post-game show from Champaign. We're hauling the equipment. We're going to do it right and have a good time. Hopefully we're talking about a Husker win.
Oh God.
7:00 game. We're shooting for 11:30 post-game, right?
Okay.
11:30?
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
The game will be over by 9 or 10:30 though. Oh God, that's going to be hard, guys. It might be 12.
Yeah, it might be hard because it's just, I know people don't want to hear all this journalist talk, but sometimes you're writing during the game. It's not that bad at all.
A lot will depend on how the game goes.
Yeah, if Nebraska's sprinting off, that'd be great. You just start writing the
But we will try to be on before midnight for hopefully a very spirited post-game show. Getting more popular every week. 15, 20,000 viewers every week watch our post-game show. So make sure you join us on the Husker Online YouTube channel. Make sure you follow us, subscribe to us here at Husker Online. Try us out for a month at HuskerOnline.com.
Please.
1 month right now for $1. For Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, signing off here for the Husker Online Show, I'm Sean Callahan.